Welcome back to FlyEaglesFly News, where the latest Eagles updates come fast and loud. If you are an Eagles fan, you know the offseason never really stops. And this year, the biggest storyline has been the offensive coordinator search. The expectation was that this would be settled months ago, but here we are, still waiting for the team to find the right person to take over an offense. That has been inconsistent and at times messy. The rumor mill has been running nonstop. And the latest update has added a name that makes you stop and think. Matt Nagy, the Eagles, reportedly interviewed him for the offensive coordinator position. And just the idea of that brings a lot of different reactions from fans. Some are intrigued, some are skeptical, and others are flat out confused. But what is clear is that this search is not just about filling a job. It is about finding someone who can reshape the identity of the offense and bring stability to a unit that has struggled to find it. Now, Matt Nagy is not exactly an unfamiliar figure in Philadelphia. He has a history with the Eagles, and his resume is full of highs and lows. He was the head coach of the Chicago Bears from 2018 to 2021. And more recently, he served as the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. From 2023 through 2025, the Chiefs, however, seem to be moving in a different direction, bringing back Eric Bieniemy to run the offense. That move is important because, even though Andy Reid has always been the one calling plays, it still signals a desire for a different structure. In other words, Nagy is now officially a coaching free agent, and that means his name is now open for a lot of different opportunities. What makes this even more interesting is the context of Nagy's recent coaching journey. He was widely considered a finalist for the Tennessee Titans head coaching job, and many expected him to land that role. But the Titans ultimately hired Robert Saleh from the New York Jets, leaving Nagy without that opportunity. So now he is back on the market, and the Eagles have an opening that could match his experience. But this is where the story gets complicated. This is not just about finding someone with experience. The Eagles need someone who can bring a new identity to an offense that has been inconsistent for too long. That is why this search has dragged on longer than many fans would like. When you look at Nagy's background, it is easy to see why the Eagles would even consider him. He has deep ties to the region, having grown up in Pennsylvania near Lancaster and attended Manheim Central High School. He played college football at Delaware as a quarterback, and his coaching path is closely connected to Andy Reid. He started with the Eagles as an intern back in 2008 and 2009, then moved up to assistant coach in offensive quality control. He followed Reid to Kansas City and became the quarterback coach, then offensive coordinator, and eventually the head coach in Chicago. That long history within the Reid coaching tree is something the Eagles clearly value, and it is part of why his name keeps resurfacing in these conversations. But the real question is whether he is the right fit to lead this Eagles offense, and when you look at the numbers, the answer is not straightforward. In the 8 seasons where Nagy has served as either a head coach or offensive coordinator, his offenses have been around average, landing roughly around 19th in total yards and 18th in points. His time with the Bears began with a strong season in 2018, where they ranked 21st in yards and 9th in points, but after that, the production dropped off quickly. In 2019, they were 29th in both yards and points. In 2020, they were 26th in yards and 20th in points. And in 2021, they were 24th in yards and 27th in points. Those numbers paint a picture of inconsistency. And that is the last thing the Eagles want right now. Now, to be fair, Nagy did that with quarterbacks who were not exactly franchise cornerstones. Mitch Trubisky was never the answer in Chicago. And Nick Foles, who Eagles fans remember as the hero of the Super Bowl run, struggled once he left Philadelphia. Then there was Justin Fields, who had moments of brilliance but never fully developed under Nagy's system. So, when you consider that Nagy went 34-31 as a head coach, that record becomes a bit more impressive than many give him credit for, considering the instability at the quarterback position and the uneven roster. But being a decent head coach is not the same as being a great offensive coordinator. And that is where the debate really begins, because if you ask me, I do not hate the idea of the Eagles interviewing Nagy. He brings a lot of value in terms of experience. He knows the system, and he has coached some of the best quarterbacks in the league. But I do not think he should be hired as the offensive coordinator. The main reason is his track record. As a play caller at the NFL level, there have been times when his play calling was questionable. And even with the Chiefs, where he found success, it is hard to separate that from the fact that he was working with one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and one of the best offensive minds in Andy Reid. The bigger question is whether Nagy can take full control of an offense and truly make it his own, or if he will simply become another coordinator heavily influenced by the head coach. The other major issue is the current structure in Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni is the head coach, and he has shown a lot of flexibility during this search. He has been open to different schemes, and has shown a willingness to adapt. That matters because the Eagles have some major roster questions that will shape the next offensive identity. The quarterback situation with Jalen Hurts is obviously the biggest factor, but there are also questions around A.J. Brown and Lane Johnson. Those are massive pieces of the offense, and if they are not fully healthy or if their futures are uncertain, it affects how any new coordinator can build a system. The situation in Philadelphia is not just about finding someone who can call plays. It is also about understanding how much control the next offensive coordinator will actually have. Many coordinators want full autonomy over play calling, scheme design, and even the running game. But the Eagles already have one of the most respected offensive line coaches in the league, Jeff Stoutland, who also serves as the run game coordinator. Stoutland is a foundational figure in the Eagles' success, and he has been a major reason why the Eagles have consistently had a strong run game under Nick Sirianni. The team is not going to suddenly dismantle that structure, and any coordinator who wants to come in and take over the running game will likely think twice before accepting the job. That reality is a major reason why this search has taken so long. At the same time, the Eagles are not just being difficult for the sake of being difficult. This is a franchise that has been aggressive in building a championship contender, but they are also smart and calculated. They understand the stakes of hiring a coordinator, and they know that rushing into a decision could be reckless. It is not like hiring a coordinator is the same as hiring a CEO in another industry, but the philosophy is similar. They want to make sure they get the right person, not just the first person who says yes. The offensive coordinator position is one of the most important jobs on the coaching staff, and the Eagles have built a roster designed to win now. That means the next coordinator has to be able to maximize that talent, not just bring new ideas for the sake of change. So, the Eagles are casting a wide net and interviewing multiple candidates, and Matt Nagy is one of those names. The interesting part is that some candidates have already turned down the job, like Mike McDaniel, who ended up taking the offensive coordinator job with the Los Angeles Chargers, and Brian Daboll, who is pursuing the Buffalo Bills head coaching position. There is a lot at play here, and it is not just about scheme. It is about fit with the organization, fit with the city, and fit with the dynamics of coaching in Philadelphia, which is a completely different environment than most other cities in the league. The bottom line is that this offensive coordinator search is not just taking time because the Eagles are being picky. It is taking time because the job is complicated, the roster has questions, and the Eagles want to make sure they bring in someone who can handle the pressure and deliver results. If Matt Nagy is indeed being seriously considered, it means the Eagles are looking at experience and familiarity, but they are also trying to figure out whether he can be the right voice for this offense. This is not a decision that can be made lightly, and the stakes are high because the Eagles have championship aspiration and they are not willing to settle for mediocrity. And if you are wondering what this means for the future of the Eagles offense, it likely means one thing: change is coming, but the Eagles want it to be the right change. They are not going to rush into a decision just to make fans happy. They want to build something that can compete at the highest level, and they are going to take the time needed to find the right leader for that mission. The key is finding someone who can bring clarity, creativity, and stability to the offense while also working within the structure that the team has already built. That is a rare combination, and it is one of the main reasons this search has been so challenging. Now, the question that a lot of Eagles fans are asking is why this offensive coordinator search has taken so long. It is not just because the Eagles are picky or because they are trying to make things dramatic. The truth is that this job comes with a lot of moving parts, and the Eagles have to be very careful about who they bring in. The dynamics in Philadelphia are unique, the media pressure is intense, the fan base is relentless, and the expectation is always to win now. So any coordinator coming into this situation has to be ready for a high-stakes environment where every decision is scrutinized. That is not something every coach is built for, and it is a major reason why some of the top candidates may have decided the job was not worth the risk. On top of that, There are questions about how much autonomy the next offensive coordinator will actually have. That is something that has been a major sticking point in this search. Offensive coordinators want to come in and run their own offense, call their own plays, and bring in their own staff. They want the freedom to implement their system, especially if they believe that is what will lead to success. But the Eagles already have a structure in place. Jeff Stoutland is the run game coordinator, and he is not going anywhere. The offensive line is a core part of what the Eagles do, and Stoutland has built a culture and a system that the team is not willing to dismantle. That means any offensive coordinator who comes in has to be willing to work within that structure. And that can be a major adjustment for some coaches. That becomes even more complicated when you factor in Jalen Hurts. Hurts is a unique quarterback. He is a dual-threat player who can make plays with his legs, but he also needs a system that can maximize his passing potential. The next offensive coordinator has to be able to tailor the offense to Hurts' strengths while also making sure the team can stay competitive in a league that is evolving at a rapid pace. That is a delicate balance because the Eagles cannot just build around Hurts' rushing ability and ignore the passing game, especially when you have a talented receiving corps. At the same time, you cannot force a quarterback into a system that does not fit his skill set. That is why this decision is so important and why the Eagles are being so careful. Now, let us talk about some of the names that have been connected to this job. We already mentioned Matt Nagy, but there are other candidates who have been interviewed or are rumored to be in the mix. Mike McDaniel did interview with the Eagles, but he ultimately took the offensive coordinator job with the Los Angeles Chargers to coach Justin Herbert. Brian Daboll has also interviewed, but he is pursuing the Buffalo Bills head coaching job and may not be interested in taking the Eagles role if he does not land that position. There have been interviews with Brian Daboll, Josh Grizzard, Jim Bob Cooter, Mike Kafka, and Zach Robinson, among others. Some of these names bring experience, some bring innovation, and some bring a combination of both. The Eagles are clearly looking at a wide range of options, and that shows they are not afraid to explore different paths. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds in what is being described as a move that could shake the very foundations of the NFC East. Sources close to the league suggest the Eagles may have secured a signing that will redefine expectations for the franchise, while details remain shrouded in secrecy. Insiders are already buzzing about the potential ripple effects this acquisition could have, not only on Philadelphia but across the entire division. The speculation began after reports surfaced that the Eagles front office had been in discreet negotiations with an unnamed star, whose talent and versatility are said to rival some of the league's top performers. Analysts are pointing to the possibility that this signing could shift the balance of power in the NFC East, long dominated by a cycle of predictable contenders. If this goes through, it's not just another roster move. One league insider told ESPN, it's a statement. The Eagles are signaling that they are ready to compete at a level that demands respect from every rival. Fans have already taken to social media, with excitement and disbelief mixing in equal measure. Speculation ranges from offensive juggernauts to defensive game changers, leaving the NFL community guessing about the true identity of this mysterious player. Rumors suggest the Eagles may be aiming for someone who can deliver immediate impact, transforming both their on-field strategies and locker room dynamics. The timing of the announcement, if confirmed, could not be more critical. The division has seen its share of upsets and underdog triumphs, and adding a high-profile talent might be precisely what the Eagles need to rise above their rivals. Coaches and teammates are reportedly thrilled at the prospect, with insiders noting that the signing could inspire a new culture of confidence and ambition within the squad. While no official confirmation has been made, the implications are already being debated across sports networks. Some experts caution that hype must be tempered, citing the league's history of high-profile negotiations that fell through at the last moment. Others argue that even the mere possibility of this player joining the Eagles sends a message. Philadelphia is positioning itself as a force to be reckoned with, and the NFC East may never look the same again. For now, fans and analysts alike are left to speculate, dissect, and dream about what this unprecedented move could mean. One thing is certain: if the rumors hold any truth, the Eagles are not just playing for the next season, they are redefining the future of the division. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.